What's going on, everyone? Conservative Video Dipper here. If you get a dip, pack a lip. We are not sponsored nor endorsed by any dip tobacco company. Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, it sounds like Ted Cruz is moving up in the world today, as it's from what I'm hearing purported that he may allegedly be in heading to the Supreme Court. Now, let's talk about this. Ted Cruz going to the Supreme Court. What could be the pros and cons of this? Well, the pros are that, let's say, if the Democrats do allegedly happen to win the election, then they might not be able to stack the Supreme Court, meaning the Supreme Court is not going to have a bunch of demi rats running around destroying America as much as they would like to. Ted Cruz is going to be a Republican in there, which will help probably bring a little more balance. I think that balance definitely is needed, and I think that balance would be very good. Here's the other thing. Good morning, Bradley. And thank you for joining. The other thing is that Ted Cruz will not, more than likely, if he does get voted into the Supreme Court, he will no longer run for 2028 presidential election, which means if he does happen to get voted in or nominated for the Supreme Court, then this means that possibly J.D. Vance may have a good chance of being nominated by Trump or being supported by Trump, which is good. Now, here's the cons. If he doesn't get voted in, the Democrats, and if they do happen to win, which would be a miracle or by alleged cheating, you know, then the Democrats then would possibly stack the court, which means then it's going to be pretty Democratic. And Roe versus Wade could possibly allegedly be overturned, or not overturned, but certain things can happen, meaning that possibly the Democrats could get a lot more power and a lot more control. Sorry, just got my dip out. But if he does happen to get in, not only would it allegedly bring balance to the justice system, the Supreme Court, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on him if he does allegedly get elected, or if he does supposedly get elected in. That means that if the Democrats happen to win by whatever means, but if they win, then that's going to put a lot of pressure on him to try to do what he has to do to balance things out, which might be a little bit difficult for him, but we know Ted Cruz can do it. And if it happens that Ted Cruz not only gets in, but I think some conservative stuff would be passed. It would more than likely be passed a little bit if, let's say, Ted Cruz does get into the Supreme Court and J.D. Vance does win the 2028 presidential election. I think a lot of stuff will get done. Hopefully more than what we've seen in the last presidential election with Biden. And it seems like Trump is very excited about this. And I can understand why, but I do have a little intrepidation with putting Ted Cruz in the Supreme Court. I worry a little bit that, yeah, he will do what's right, but he's, in my opinion, not very conservative like Vance is. But he is Republican, which means obviously Republican stuff could get done. So there, it kind of worries me a little bit because I'm not sure what will possibly get done or will not get possibly done if Ted Cruz does end up supposedly going in and being part of the Supreme Court. I think honestly, the Democrats are going to complain about this continuously. We're going to hear about this with them because they're going to not like it for one big reason, and that's because they're going to want to stack the Supreme Court. They want all Democrats in. They don't want Ted Cruz in there, and they're not going to want him in there because they know that if he gets in, that things are not going to go the way possibly that they want, which is fine. We don't want the Democrats to do much. But at the same time, I think that Cruz possibly can push for a lot of great things um, when it comes to like women's health issue or abortion and things like this. I think Cruz is going to definitely probably shut it down a lot quicker than Democrats would, which I know he would because he's not a Democrat. Just packed me a lip again. My second lip for the day. Which is going to be nice because um, Cruz is being supported by Trump in this new voyage that supposedly Cruz is taking to becoming part of the Supreme Court. How do I feel about it? I, again, do have a little intrepidation, but I feel like it is going to be perfectly fine. I feel like Cruz probably more likely will make right decisions. He will do what is correct. He will make the right decisions and he'll help keep America safe. Um, what if JD Vance wins the presidential election and conservatives get in? Then that's going to be even better because if Vance wins the 2028 presidential election and Ted Cruz, let's say, supposedly gets into the Supreme Court, then that means the Republicans are going to have a lot more majority of control. We are going to be able to do, again, things that we want done. And no time is going to be wasted. I know that definitely when it comes down to it, if Vance does get elected, Vance is going to be right on it. He's going to jump on it. He's going to probably more than likely push for more conservatives in the Supreme Court. He's going to push for more conservatives in the House Senate. He's going to push for the Republicans to have a lot more majority of the control, which is good. That will keep us from having to deal with the Democrats' nonsense. But what if Ted Cruz doesn't? Then, if Ted Cruz doesn't supposedly get elected, then he can possibly look at going for a 2028 presidential election, which, again, we'll see how that goes. But only time will tell. In my opinion, as a journalist, I see this, whether he's going to be president or part of the Supreme Court, as a good move. It looks like the Republicans or Trump is doing his best to jump ahead of the Democrats and trying to push as hard as he can, either by either having Vance being alleged president or and Cruz being part of the Supreme Court, or Cruz and Vance fighting to become president, which will be good. So either way, it's going to turn out very good, hopefully for us at some point. We have a lot to look forward to. Um, Again, the media is definitely going to have a cow about this because they don't want it. Ugh. Which, again, we are okay with. Because no matter what, if the Republicans are already thinking ahead, if Trump is like, look, it not 2028 yet, but we're going to jump ahead. We're going to try to get these people that I trust and I know will do their job in office. That to me shows that Trump is taking initiative to not only doing better, but he's starting to realize now that this is what we need to do. We need to get ahead of these Democrats. We need to make sure the Democrats have no way of getting the ability to stack the Supreme Court or try to do something bad. Now, if again Ted Cruz does get in, I can see the Democrats probably more than likely not wanting to do anything stupid to lose their ability to try to win by allegedly cheating. Because more than likely, if Cruz is the Supreme Court and let's say the election did allegedly happen to go a little wonky or janky and it goes to the Supreme Court, Cruz would be there already to pretty much shut that stuff down and say, well, then we got to redo it. Let's redo the count and everything. So that's a good thing. That would probably mean more justice being upheld, laws, rules, constitution for the republic in a fair election being done. And not just the election, but everything. And I can see that being a very good sign. And I'm happy that Trump is actually not just thinking about this, but realizing that Cruz has a potential. Trump did kind of make a little joke about it, saying that I'm sure all the Democrats in the House are going to feel really bad about him leaving, which we know that's not going to be the case because they're not going to be really upset about it. They're going to be happy about it. But they're going to be more pissed off because Cruz, if he does happen to win being in Supreme Court, that's going to screw them. So either way, it's not going to make them happy. But to us, it will be a win. And it will be a win for us, hopefully in midterms we can see this happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the news. I am your host, Conservative Video Dipper. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Rumble. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.